Greetings to all, Goeiemorgen, Molweni, distinguished guests, student leaders, staff members, and all protocol observed. It is an honor to give this address today. Dankie dat jy my het hierdie talk vertrou het. Nifando wisejihulu lautiwa chikhala chau amba mapungo abutogwa karineroke. I have titled my subject matter as How do we move forward at higher education institutions when the remnant of apartheid remains? And the sub-theme is the impact of institutional culture on transformation. I define institutional culture as a set of rules, principles, values, and norms that are socially shared within an institution, notwithstanding the unsaid assumptions derived from how things are done in that particular institution. In light of State of Nation Address 2024, President Cyril Mabaso introduced Nzimande as a child of democracy who is enjoying the perks of liberation. Similarly, Vhavenda from the Democratic Alliance presented Thabang, who is deprived from the perks of liberation during the SONA debate. In the context of Stellenbosch University, we have Professor Gobodo Madikizela's Black Student Prototype in the Kapepe report of 2022. Gobodo Madikizela narrated this Black, referring to African Black people, Indians, and colored student as one who comes from an impoverished background, proud to be attending an institution that was historically reserved for white students, unable to afford leisure activities in and around Stellenbosch. They experienced the university through the prison memory of apartheid and colonialism because they are financially restricted compared to liberated white students. They lack confidence in embracing themselves, personhood, and their blackness. Lastly, she said that they need to learn that they do not need to be like white students to succeed in university. Xa ndiyijonga le nto, kukho into endixelelayo ngaphakathi kwam ukuba andinguye laa mntu athetha ngaye uGobodo Madikizela. Although I acknowledge the impact of historical imbalances, my story is different and encompasses its own blueprint. I come from the former Republic of Vhavenda in Limpopo province. I am the 11th generation of Chikonero Mpapuli royal family, and my clan have ruled Venda for over 300 years. My second great-grandfather, King Makwarela, pioneered formal education and the Christian faith with the aid of Valley missionaries. He had the Bible translated and adapted to Tshivenda from 1920 up until 1936, a skill that I have now mastered. Whereas my grandfather, King Chikonero, built 3 schools and Nyeleti College post his exile period by the Apartheid regime. As a product of this legacy, I came to Stellenbosch with the dream of finding a solution for communication impairment that is prevalent in Venda. That said, I arrived at Stellenbosch having embraced my blackness, language, cultural beliefs, and systems. I never lacked confidence or shied away from being a Venda person. In fact, as a newcomer of less than 2 weeks at Stellenbosch University, I had translated and adapted the health oath in Tshivenda voluntarily. Subsequently, I became the face behind the Tshivenda greeting, Botanganenzwa, and the proverb Chakure Chiwanonga Mohobi that is engraved on campus. I am also the face behind the change of uniforms or scrubs for speech, language, and hearing therapy students, and presently the face behind the groundbreaking research in Tshivenda. This is testament that I've been consistent, genuine, authentic, and true to my personhood, culture, and blackness. Likewise, As a royal, I have in my capacity as a student, a leader, and a clinician supported the Traditional Leadership and Governance Framework Act 41 of 2003 by advocating for those from marginalized socio-economic backgrounds, influencing the government on provincial and national level in healthcare inclusivity matters. And I have participated in international matters that have to do with custom, tradition, and common interest in countries such as Germany, Israel, Thailand, United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates, Kenya, and many more. Despite personal challenges and the urge to quit university, I always took time to reflect on my forefathers' legacy and the baton of hope and social development passed to me. Their past victories in the midst of adversity motivate me to say, "Aluda continua." When that gets challenged, the likes of His Majesty, King Ramudara Chivumo II, and other customary leaders in Venda take time to support and motivate me at my lowest. They never allow me to quit. Rather, they always offer sound legal advice on how I should handle dilemmas, of which they have now coined them as my Stellenbosch crisis. If you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This African proverb teaches us the value of collaborating with others to achieve greatness. Although I pioneered the Seruria Ladies Residence electronic magazine when I was chairperson of Congress in 2018, I had to collaborate with the members of the House to make it a reality. Ultimately, I can confidently say that collaboration is the secret to my steady and radical success. When it comes to working towards a common purpose, translating the oath, providing the Tshivenda greeting and proverb to be engraved on campus, serving twice as a chairperson, being a guest lecturer at this very same university, pursuing research in Tshivenda, and representing Stellenbosch University in Berlin, Germany conference and other prominent spaces in South Africa was my personal contribution to Stellenbosch University's transformation agenda that was announced in 2018 by our futuristic and vision-oriented Rector and Vice Chancellor, Professor Vim de Villiers. Thus, I encourage everyone present here today and online to step into their roles of influence because your voice counts in shaping a positive institutional culture. Where controversy to civility is concerned, ka Sesotho sa Leboa Bapedi ba bolela ba re mosadi o tshwara thipa ka bohaleng, which is simply translated, pediments say a froho a mess undescribable was. As a reserved and reflective leader, I was often challenged to be the peacemaker and mediator when differences arose within the multiracial and multicultural society that I led in 2020 as a chairperson of Mati's Speech Therapy and Herwood-Verneching Society. I had to hold the knife by the blade and model tranquility and harmony when it was not fashionable. As a result, I was even cyberbullied by a fellow classmate for standing up for the truth and resisting prejudicial bullying that was aimed at some fellow classmates. Likewise, I encourage fellow leaders here today to stand up for the truth and social cohesion without fear or favor. When I was invited for the Rector's Breakfast meeting in March 2023, I happened to be the only person who aspired to be a Rector and VC of Stellenbosch in the near future. Therefore, I asked our current Rector and VC, Professor de Villiers, on what made him stood out amongst other possible candidates. He mentioned 3 things. Number 1, his international work experience. Number 2, research expertise. And number 3, his ability to raise funds. His journey and talk that morning inspired me to tap into the fundraising element in my capacity as a principal investigator in my master's program. I took the bold step of applying for the South African Women in Science Award in May 2023 so that I could raise funds to publish my groundbreaking research outcomes. On hindsight, who would have thought that one encounter with the rector and VC of Stellenbosch University could yield such noble results? This is an exemplary story of what occurs when people feel welcomed in their institution and are afforded the citizenship of an institution that they are affiliated with. I hereby would like to present the factors that made us lose hope in transformation and intrigued us to question the authenticity of inclusivity and diversity as we witnessed the remnants of apartheid legislations being exercised. In Tshivenda, we have a proverb that says, loosely translated, we address the bad matters so that we can eventually make room for the good matters or the good progress. Despite all my greatest accolades and contributions to transformation, I have had my own fair share of persecution at Stellenbosch University. I have faced institutionalized racism, prejudicial bullying, on-site and remote work bullying, and psychological abuse in the form of microaggression and gaslighting by 7 staff members, including HODs and supervisors. For this address, I'll only unpack institutionalized racism, as the rest are well documented in my book titled Navigating Hardships, a Perspective of a First-Generation University Student or Graduate. Number 1, in 2018, having been accepted at Stellenbosch University, allocated a bursary and accommodation, my portal changed from accepted to rejected. And when I inquired, the personnel said that the system had a problem with my language, Tshivenda. And he asked if I truly know how to speak in English prior to him resolving the system. Post this hurdle, there were numerous occasions where I have been unfairly discriminated on the basis of my ethnicity, social origin, culture, and language within this institution. Number 2, in the same year, 7 African Black students, including myself, who were studying speech-language and hearing therapy, were sent an email that instructed us to go and take an Afrikaans proficiency test. I resisted that by not writing it, because we were radically or racially profiled and forced to this Afrikaans test. I perceived this custom repugnant because the youth of 1976 succeeded in abolishing this legislation during apartheid. Unfortunately for me then, all 7 of us again were handpicked from class another fateful day and coerced to do an Afrikaans proficiency interview this time. This practice violated our democratic right to education, where we are to choose the language of our choice, in this case, either learning Afrikaans or isiXhosa, and not to be discriminated against the basis of race. Number 3, post winning the South African Women in Science Award in September 2023, jubilations turned into depression as I had to pen down 2 grievance letters to DRD asking why I was being treated as a second-class citizen, whereas my white counterpart was assisted to receive the fellowship from the Minister of Science and Innovation swiftly and smoothly. I was called by someone in the executive management, and he claimed to have had a hand in nominating me and insinuated that they did me a favor by winning. Contrary to his claims, nobody had nominated me in this institution, and I won on merit and credibility of my research output in Tshivenda and community involvement in Mpumalanga and in Limpopo provinces. I learned from the institutional culture of Stellenbosch University that African black people are treated inferiorly to white people. I learned that we are made to work 10 times harder than our white counterparts, and we constantly have to prove our worth and intelligence to a system that embodies imperialism engineered by the likes of Henry Verwoerd. I and my peers were made to experience the Bantu Education Act of 1953, together with Henry Verwoerd's legislation of 1975 or 76, that forced African black students to learn in Afrikaans and that they should be taught early on that they're not equal to white students. Such a culture of inequality, coercion, and marginalization of African black students must be abolished at Stellenbosch University. Machudeni vabatima va fanele ku tshama eStellenbosch kurhula, naswona va nga chikeleriwa hi munhu. Na vona a va fanelanga ku sindzisiwa ku dyondza hi ririmi ra Afrikaans. Despite the positive elements on our transformation journey at Stellenbosch University, which to my record is only 6 years, I, like many others, came to a prehistoric white university with an open mindset, but left seeing things through a prism memory of apartheid and colonization. I and many others believed in the essence of democracy and living harmoniously amongst our multiracial and multicultural society, but left Stellenbosch University knowing George Orwell's existential truth that says all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. As a result, I disagree with Emeritus Judge Kampepe's conclusion in paragraph 543 of the Kampepe report of 2022 that said that we have polarized views and that the protection of Africa's legacy and heritage is just a preconceived idea of different people with radically different histories. Contrary to Kampepe's sugar-coated conclusion, we have practical lived experiences of inequality on basis of race, ethnicity, social origin, and language. And often our freedom of speech was censored. In my undergraduate years, one was often reminded about the harrowing consequences of speaking up against ill treatment at Stellenbosch University. Apart from that, the fate of the late Professor Bongani Mawetu Mayosi and Professor Ndangwa Noyo, who authored Surviving a University Department from Hell, are testaments that black people, in this case African black people, Indians and colored, continuously to face prejudice, bullying, and racism in institutions of higher education in South Africa, regardless of their greatest accomplishments and enthusiasm towards transformation. The question remains, how do we move forward at higher education institutions when the remnant of apartheid remains? As I come to my conclusion, allow me to present 4 things that can play a role in re-imaging the customs and behaviors that are adaptable, consistent, and grounded to students' needs. What should leaders or student leaders do to build a positive institutional culture? To build an institutional culture where white people, African black people, Indians, colored, Asians, and other people live harmoniously and take pride in being a student or staff member of their institutions. Number 1, we must confront inhuman practices and resist anything that upholds the legacy of crimes against humanity. Number 2, we must proactively enhance the culture of Ubuntu, where we see each other through the lenses of humanity, love, equality, and celebrate our diversity as a contextual strength. Number 3, we must familiarize ourselves with the concept of democracy and refrain from violating the constitutional rights of those we live or coexist with, in the name of upholding the culture of the university. Such includes letting go of the notion, it has always been done this way. Number 4, and the last one. The race, culture, and language of African black people must be seen and accepted as a contextual strength and never compared with westernized, apartheid, and colonial standards. Thank you. Bayadanki, Enkosi.